Yeah,
Do you
when I
like
was
that?
like 19, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to finger pick, and I spent all year just like practicing with a metronome, and then I just kind of got it, and you know now it's just a skill you have. But I think I'm good at like faking my way through a lot of instruments, even though I have no idea what I'm doing.
Our podcast is about you, your journey in music, and of course, the new record that you just put out, motivational. I can't speak. Motivational speaking, which I
Yes.
can't apparently do right now. Cool,
Yeah.
man. Born and raised where? Georgia, correct?
Yeah, in Atlanta, and then I moved around a bunch. I was down in Miami, then moved to Athens, Georgia, moved to New York, and then found my way to Nashville.
Awesome. Are you in Nashville now?
Yeah, I've been here for about seven, 7 or 8 years.
Oh, awesome. My family we literally moved here about 6 months ago.
Okay, you're in
Yeah.
Nashville too.
Yeah. Well, we're in like south by Franklin.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. 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 We're from San Diego originally. We moved out here like
Oh,
I said, like in the beginning of March. Yeah. We love it here. It's amazing.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's
So
beautiful
cool.
down there near Franklin.
Yeah, we love it. It's really cool. I mean, we have 2 kids, so we wanted to be in the burbs.
Right. Yeah, makes everything a little easier.
Yeah, we love it though. It's rad. So you born in Atlanta. How long were you there for?
Um, until I graduated high school,
Oh wow. Okay. So you spent some time there. What was it like growing up in Atlanta?
I liked it. There was a good music scene. I think. I mean, the music scene there was like, yeah, pretty prominent. I mean, as far as like different styles of music go, and then I think as like Nashville grew, a lot of like the indie rock bands started picking up and moving to Nashville, and because growing up, I was always like thought of Nashville as like a country town, and then I
So
think
did I.
and then
Right.
I think that caused a lot of the Atlanta acts who were maybe not in the R&B and hip hop world to pick up and move to Nashville because it was so close. But when I
Mhm.
was growing up in Atlanta, I mean, it was a cool little scene. I mean, so many great venues, Tabernacle, Masquerade, the Roxy. Like, I just remember going to so many shows and just playing in a million bands.
Okay. This I'm curious where your musical journey started, but isn't it funny how like I also assumed that country music was just like that was it here in Nashville. And even to like the past like within 2 years I thought that, and then I was as this podcast kept going I was talking to more and more even like indie bands like emo bands are like, oh yeah, I'm moving to Nashville. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I
It's
had
crazy.
yeah, I had no interest in even like visiting Nashville. Like it was never on my radar. I never came here until I moved in 2014. Um, but we always went to like Chattanooga and stuff for like
Okay.
there was like the aquarium there before Atlanta had the aquarium. So we'd go up to like Chattanooga, and I knew Nashville was just another 2 hours up the road. But and I was so into music, but I always just associated Nashville as country music town, and I guess it was kind of when I early 2000, mid 2000s and then 90s, obviously.
Hmm.
It was like starting to transform, I suppose. But Atlanta it's a great city, very diverse, and I think it has so much to offer. I think I was able to pick up a lot of different influences there, and lucky to meet a lot of inspiring um, artists. So yeah.
It's a pretty big town. I mean, for even in entertainment, right? I mean, they shoot a lot of shows and movies and stuff there too,
Yeah,
right?
now like become the LA, I guess, of the South.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how that all kind of unfolded there. That's rad.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
how did you get into music originally?
my buddies and I wanted to start like a Green Day cover band when we were, I don't know, 12 years old. So I
Awesome.
started playing bass. So, and then we would just play like our school talent show, like the middle school talent show. Yeah.
We're about the same age. What record did you get? Like what record from Green Day was the one that like really got your interest?
I think it was Warning and Dookie were both.
Okay, that's the same with me. When I heard Dookie, like I was in fourth grade and my like life changed like that
Yeah, I
day.
think I was about the same. And we spent like all year trying to learn how to play When I Come Around. Uh,
Okay.
and
That bass line is rad where it stops and it has like the
it,
durn.
yeah, that was so hard for me to learn. But I remember like working on that for like 6 months.
That's
And
rad. I wanted to be Billy Joe too as a kid. I mean, I only really learned how to play Green Day songs for, I mean, on guitar and poor. I can play like power chords,
my
but
friend's dad took us to see Green Day play, and I just remember we were so young, and they were just like curse words, and we didn't understand what half of the stuff, the stage banter they were saying, but
sure.
um, I think my friend's dad's face was pretty red.
What tour did you see him on? Do you remember?
I can't even remember. I don't even know.
That's
Um,
cool.
but yeah, so we like we played When I Come Around at our middle school talent show, and then I think the next year we played a different Green Day song, and then I kind of got into there was like a big emo hardcore
Hmm.
thing, so I like started playing a lot of those types of bands, and I'm not like super proud of that era, but I definitely learned a lot from that. I mean, we'd go out and I'd learn how to book shows, and how to sell merch, and
Hmm.
just how to like work a crowd from the stage and all of that. So I mean, I guess it was formative to a degree, I suppose.
Hmm. That, I mean, that's kind of in our generation. That's kind of
Yeah.
how the progression went, right? It was like punk rock, like Green Day, Rancid, those type of bands, and then it was
Yeah.
like
Anti
onto the
Anti Flag and
yeah,
like
yeah, oh, Anti-Flag. Oh
Chocolate
man,
Trio. I was just going. I go down these
dude,
rabbit
that's
holes.
like my life.
I go down these rabbit holes. I still love a lot of these bands, and I saw
Same
Chocolate
here.
Trio's going on tour with that Bad Religion, so I'm gonna try to go down to Atlanta for that. But um, yeah, it's so funny. Like whenever I meet people in Nashville, and um, everyone, some guys will be like, probably around our age. I'm 30, and like, yeah, I grew up listening to Waylon and all this stuff. I'm like, no, had like 5 Taking Back Sunday CDs too. Come on.
Right. Yeah, you own Tell All Your Friends.
Yeah,
Every kid did.
you're not fooling anybody.
Right, right. That's so I didn't realize the alkaline that's the one thing I have noticed though about Nashville is like when I haven't yet to been to a show because
Yeah,
no one's really doing anything yet. Like
right.
we my family and I've walked around like Broadway, like the most
Yeah,
touristy area. And
yeah,
like it's cool to see in like the bars and stuff there's always like a band. Like which I was shocked. I was like, "Whoa, like this is crazy. Like there's live music everywhere."
yeah.
But I'll look at tour schedules and I'm like, "Oh, like Alkaline Trio for example." I'm like,
Yeah, they're not
"Oh,
playing.
yeah." And like that was one thing about San Diego is they would always come through. Those bands would usually come
Yeah,
through San Diego because they're in LA. And it was like, oh, okay, why not
yeah,
come down? But even like even that pop or even that tour with Green Day, they're not playing here
yeah.
either.
It's so funny. I growing up in Atlanta, I always wished I was really into skateboarding too, and like
Same.
I fantasized that I grew up in Southern California. Like that was where I wanted to be, even though I didn't go there till I was like 15. But
That's
I
funny.
used to
Yeah, it
always,
was huge. That I mean, a lot of the companies came out of there, and the
yeah,
greats came out of San
yeah.
Diego, which is huge for. I mean, same with me. Like that's really how I got into music. Like Misfits and all that was from
Oh yeah,
Toy Machine videos and like the
yeah.
Zero
I was
videos.
so into skateboarding, like that was just all I did, and I wasn't good at it at all, and I like kept hurting myself. So I kind of just probably like a lot of people just gravitated towards music,
Music, yeah.
because the two coincided.
That's
I
cool. So, well, okay, yeah, I know that's a bummer that these bands don't come through here though. But some of them do. Some of them will play like the Brooklyn Bull. I've seen a few
yeah,
names on there, but
yeah.
in that world at least.
Amber
But
Lynn is coming through to play.
are they?
Yeah, my one of my best friends is actually mixing their new record right now. So
That is awesome.
yeah,
That's really rad. Yeah, I saw like Bayside because I think those guys live in Franklin. They play or they'll play
they
Brooklyn
live in
Bull.
Franklin. Really?
Yeah, yeah, or at least Anthony does, the singer. He
Yeah,
lives
I
in
saw him on a
Franklin.
flight back. I think I was flying back from like LA to Nashville, and I saw him on the flight, and I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, I'm also like the only one in this entire airport that probably knows
Knows who
who
he
this
is.
guy is.
Yeah, dude. That's funny. Is how that's kind of how our eyes got on the radar for Nashville. Was like when we started the podcast, I interviewed Anthony from Bayside
Yeah,
and Ryan Key from Yellow Card lives in
yeah.
Franklin. And like
Okay.
all these people kept saying Chris Carrabba from Dashboard, like
Yeah.
all these people, and I'm like, where the hell is Franklin? And then like I realized, oh, it's like about 30 minutes south of Nashville.
Well,
That kind of makes sense.
Nashville. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, so was bass the first instrument you learned how to play?
Piano.
Okay,
But I wasn't learning. I didn't learn like the songs I wanted to learn on piano. It was very basic, you know.
like classical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but I'm very grateful that my parents forced me to learn piano at an early age. And then I gravitated towards bass, and then from bass learned guitar, and now I play a little bit of everything. I'm not like I'd say guitar is my main instrument, but like you
Hmm.
would never hire me to play guitar in your band. You know, like I'm not that good of a guitar
Like a
player. Like
shredder.
yeah, I'm not a shred person. I can like finger pick really well and do a couple things, but I
Which
think
is
I'm
something I'm always envious of. Like that's I wish I would have learned how to finger pick because that guitar playing sounds so cool. And it's like
yeah,
I can smash a power chord, but then I'm like, oh, well, this isn't as fun as like listening to
basically
somebody
yeah,
do
when I
like
was
that.
like 19, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to finger pick, and I spent all year just like practicing with a metronome, and then I just kind of got it, and you know now it's just a skill you have. But I think I'm good at like faking my way through a lot of instruments, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. Um,
Well, debatable, man. Your records are amazing. So, which is interesting. How when did you make that transition? Because your songs don't have that like hardcore emo
yeah,
tone to them.
yeah,
So like how like where did you just progress into like okay, the hardcore scene kind of fizzled out, and then like
yeah. There were
when did
some
you
bands that
start?
like carried over, I guess. You know, like Manchester Orchestra were
Oh,
like
sure, that's a
big
great
Atlanta
example.
band, and they sort of broke out of that scene, and now they're like, there's still obviously like hints of the emo music, and who else? Um, uh, I had another band in mind, but I'm totally blanking on them. But
Hmm.
you know, I think it just like naturally started discovering like Tom Waits and like listening to more like Bob Dylan stuff, and then like getting into like Queens of the Stone Age, and like just branching out a bit more. And I mean, I was always like a huge Bruce Springsteen fan growing up, you know,
Hmm.
because my dad, and um, we also listened to like Roxy music, and I don't know,
Oh,
like
that's
all
cool.
different
You're the
types of
second person I've talked to recently that's brought up Roxy Music, and I haven't heard that name
yeah,
for 10 years prior. Like Love
yeah,
is a Drug is a jam. And then
yeah.
like
It's so good. Yeah. But yeah, I think it just naturally evolved into like writing singer-songwriter type music, I
Mhm.
guess. I mean, I played in like more rock bands before Old Sea Brigade, you know, in like my early 20s. Like I was in a band, and I was wanting it to sound a bit more like The Strokes and like Kings Leon, but
Mhm.
we sounded a bit more like, you know, Soundgarden or Audio Slave, and um the singer we had was really really good, but that didn't really catch on. And then I'd always written my own songs um, that were more in the singer songwriter vein. So the first song I put out was a song called Love Brought Weight, and that was like 2015, and like Spotify was kind of getting going then, and playlisting and all of that, and I just happened to sort of luck out, and people started adding that song to like playlists in the Netherlands and in Germany, and then you know I just kept putting out music, and things there was sort of a spider web effect, and things it didn't like explode, but it definitely turned into something where I was like, oh, like this is the first time something's really stuck with like my music, and like I could see a way to build a career out of this. And
Mhm.
I'd always worked in recording studios growing up and interning or assisting, and so I signed a record deal and used some of the money to build a little studio, and just kind of been building on that ever since.
That's incredible. So Love Brought Way was your first song you put out as
Yeah.
Old Sea. Oh my gosh. That's incredible. I mean, what, like you have like 47 million plays on that song,
I
which is
remember being
crazy.
so excited when I hit like 50,000. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, so you worked in studios and as an engineer prior to that really
Yeah,
taking off?
like intern, assistant. I would never be like the main engineer, but
But still, did you go to college for that or school for that?
no, I start. You know what? I worked at when I was in Atlanta. I worked at a studio called Glow in the Dark with a producer, Matt Goldman,
Hmm.
who produced like going back to the emo music, like Under Oath and Copeland, and
Wow.
uh, all those types of bands. So I was around that a lot and just learned a lot from him. And through that internship, I met my buddy Jeremy Griffith, who produced Love Brought Weight, and he produced my first record, and he's also just one of my best friends, and we stayed friends for like the past 15 years.
Mhm.
But I met him because he was renting out the B room at Matt Goldman's studio in Atlanta.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, and then he ended up producing, Love Brought Weight, which really got Old Sea Brigade going. I
Mhm.
have to credit him for helping me really find my sound too. So it's just funny how those things, they find a way back, even if it's like
Sure.
10, 15 years in the past.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
When Love Brought Weight became, successful and it started getting all these plays, is that when record labels started reaching out to you?
Uh,
Or
yeah,
was it later? Okay.
yeah. It was still like, I think it had maybe 1 million or 2 million plays at the time.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay. And did you have the whole EP out yet or no?
uh, I think I did. Yeah, I did have it out. Um,
Okay.
and then yeah, I signed with this label Nettwerk, and they've been really supportive, and it's been a good partnership. So
And they have huge artists on it, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
or they did. I mean, they have the Coldplay was
yeah,
on their label and stuff.
yeah,
So you were probably aware of the label. Was there any other
yeah. I remember, it's
bidding
funny.
war type thing going on, or was it you
Well,
knew you want to go with them?
I knew a little bit about Nettwerk in the past, but so Jeremy knew an A&R there who they used to have like a pretty big Nashville footprint, I guess, and I think they're not really here in the city anymore. They're out in LA, but
Mhm.
um, I remember driving. I was still living in Atlanta when I started Old Sea Brigade because I moved back home. I was living at my parents' house, and I drive up to Nashville to play shows all the time. And I remember driving up one time like to play a show for this A&R at Nettwerk, and uh, we got there and like found out like they weren't coming to the show, and I was like kind of bummed. And then like 6 months later, like the head of the label hit me up and was just like, "Do you want to like work with us?" I was like, "Yeah."
Wow. Did you tell him that he stood you up?
Yeah, I was like, "Someone stood me up. I don't know who, but I'm gonna find out." Still haven't found out.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So once you put out, so you already had the EP out, and then
yeah,
the first record you put out with them was "Wash Me Away."
yeah. I think was that it? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
Okay,
And then just put out a couple EP. I think I put out like 3 EPs with them. Then put out
the first
um,
record.
the first record, and there was a time I was just like putting out so much music, like it was every like 6 weeks, just kept going and going, which was nice. And then I put out
Singles, or were you putting out like EPs that quickly?
it would be like 3 singles, and then like put out an EP that like a 5 song EP, then just release like the 2 more songs with the EP.
Okay.
So did that for a while and toured a lot, did a lot of like opening slots. Got to like tour over in Europe, and which
What was
was
that like? Have you ever been there before?
um I went to London one time when I was a little kid with my grandma.
Okay.
So that was like my first time really getting to explore. And it was great. And my manager is actually based over in the UK. So it was fun. He like came over and or came out and tour managed, and we went all over. And I've found like as time's gone on that I've had a bigger footprint, I guess, in Europe and like Germany and the Netherlands and stuff. Like if I play in Nashville, no one will come to, like maybe 10 people will come to the show.
I'll come. My whole family will come,
Thank you.
dude.
Okay,
So we got 4.
okay, 14 people. Perfect.
Uh,
So I never really like focused on Nashville. I've kind of just focused more on like, you know,
Europe.
yeah,
Is
Europe.
that weird going out to like Netherlands where maybe you had never been, and then there's this huge crowd of people ready to hear your music?
Well, it wasn't a huge crowd, but it'd be like 100 people, which to me is still
But
like,
still, 100 people in a place that you've never been, in a country you've never been to.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
100 people there that know your record.
yeah. That blows my mind, and I'm always like, why are you here? Like that's my mindset. Why are you here? And then then it goes from that to please don't leave. like
Sure.
like there has to be some catch. Like please don't please
Like
don't
an
leave.
imposter type syndrome there,
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. I've gotten more comfortable with it now, but it was a
Mhm.
weird adjustment. I think
Sure.
because I'm not like a naturally like I don't think I'm a very type A type person, I
Mm-hmm.
suppose. So I earlier on I struggled a lot with stage fright and stuff, but I've gotten to be more comfortable now. So it's like it's a learning thing for sure.
Mm-hmm. And do you play with a full band, or were you going out by yourself?
In Europe, I would play the first tour, opening tour. I played by myself, and I was opening for a band called Joseph, and that was that was great. And then I came back over and did a headline tour, and that was me and another guitar player. So it was just like a duo, still kind of like acoustic setup. And then the next tour, whenever we're hoping we can go over and tour in the springtime,
Mm-hmm.
2022, and that'll be a full band. But it just gets so expensive to bring a band over.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure, right? You got to pay everybody and get everyone there and back, and yeah, I can't.
it's a
Is it
lot.
a lot different playing with a full band?
Yeah, I love it. Like I really, I there's something special about like solo acoustic and all of that, but I get way more excited playing with a full band. And I feel like the musicians have around me now, like I'm so lucky to like be able to call up like, my buddy Steven who plays keys for me or my friend Julian who plays drums. And um, they're just amazing musicians who inspire me and I feel like make me play better. And it's just, I think because I grew up playing in bands, I like kind of miss the sort of camaraderie of it, especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
like about to walk on stage and with the band. It just feels more comforting to me or more familiar in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Yeah, it must be difficult to just kind of walk out there by yourself and like, okay, hey everybody, and then play.
Yeah, then you have to have like something to say between every song, otherwise it's like super awkward.
Yeah, you got to come up with your own little banter. Was that
Yeah.
hard to do?
I have a friend who's a comedian, and like I run jokes by him. I'm like, "Is this funny?" He's like, "Don't say that." Or
That's awesome. Does he feed you some material? He's like, no,
yeah,
say this
yeah,
instead.
yeah. He's like, "Tell him about how he used to play in a screamo band." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that'll work."
That's good. So, Ode to a Friend comes out, your first full length, and then do you do like a US tour or like go back to Europe? Like what
Yeah,
support did you do?
did a big U.S. tour. Did a month on the road here, and then played in Nashville. Then, literally the next day, me and the guitar player flew from Nashville to London. Got picked up in London, and we went to play a festival in Liverpool, I think. And then it started a full month over there, so that was like 2 months nonstop of touring, and
Wow.
it was a lot of fun looking back, but it also like wrecked me. It was just exhausting, and
Hmm.
um, I want to try to figure out now going forward a balance of like not having to go out and tour for 2 months straight because I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how exhausting that must be.
Yeah,
Is like repetitive almost? Like, okay, you're gonna go play a show, and then it's like, okay, I gotta go sleep.
yeah.
It's like wake up in a new city and
You don't really get to see. We'd be in all these cool cities, and I'm not complain. I don't mean to complain by any means
no,
because I
for
think what I'm
sure.
getting to do is like incredibly privileged,
Hmm.
and I try to take it all in. Um, with that said, there are like you don't really get to like go out and like if you're in Paris, you don't get to go out and really like tour
Like
Paris.
sightsee type
Yeah,
thing.
you
Yeah.
get to the venue, then you sound check, then you maybe go get dinner, then play. Um, but I think too, like the venue, I'm playing like small, 200 cap clubs, so it's I like to hang out, talk with the crowd afterwards, sell merch, or have a drink with people or whatever. But I think one thing I learned on that was like everyone like when people come out to see you play, like that's their night out for the week or 2 weeks or whatever, and like they
Hmm.
a lot of times people want to like stay out and party and stuff, and then when I find myself like falling into that routine every night, that you create some unhealthy habits.
Sure, sure.
So
You can really wear yourself thin, I'm sure, pretty quickly.
yeah, but you live and learn, and but it was also it's just like it was so much fun, and like throughout the whole pandemic I've had a lot of time to really reflect on those tours, and like
Hmm.
you know I feel very grateful on all the like people I've met, like even just like like a random sound guy in Stockholm, or like just stuff like that, just getting to meet all these amazing people.
Hmm.
So it's been fun.
Hmm.
So did that tour, then came back, and um, trying to think. I guess did a couple tours after that in the States, but nothing like um, not like a full headline type run. I think I did a couple of opening shorter tours, and then the pandemic hit, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you on the road when the pandemic hit, or were you
No,
actually at home?
I was home in Nashville. I had just gotten off doing a couple of shows with a band called the Franklin Electric, who are a Canadian band, and they're really big in Quebec. And we just played this place called Metropolis in Montreal, and it was like a 2,500 person show, and that was the last show we
Wow.
played. And then he came down to Nashville, and I produced a couple songs for him, and we wrote. And I remember when we were working on his EP here, that's when like stuff started getting weird, and we were like, "Is this like, oh, maybe like you should go back home, and we can pick back up in like 3 weeks when this
When it
COVID
blows
thing."
over.
Yeah. And here we are.
Like 19 months later, or
Yeah.
whatever it's been.
Uh,
Oh man. Okay. So, well, at least you're home. And you weren't like stuck in Europe trying to, under
yeah.
the gun, trying to figure out how to get back.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
So,
wow. So while you're in quarantine, is that when you write motivational speaking? I know you had a record that came out in 2020 too, an EP, right?
um.
Or was that something you worked on with somebody else? You had like a
Oh.
collaborative record, right?
Oh yeah, with Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke and I wrote that before everything hit.
Oh, okay.
And we recorded that like December of 2019. So we
Okay.
kind of had that, and we didn't really know what to do. Then when the pandemic hit, we just put out those songs, and
Okay. So something that was a project that was complete. It wasn't like
yeah,
something you both worked on like virtually or anything
no,
like that.
no.
Okay.
And people ask us a lot about that because the songs do like kind of they sound like they were quarantine, pandemic inspired songs, but I'm not
Hmm.
sure like you could take any song and any sad song and sort of spin it in a way where like, oh, this is probably about the pandemic. You're like,
Right, right,
oh,
right,
it's
right.
not, I promise. Like I haven't even written. I'm like when I'm writing, I try to just like block out all of the craziness.
Pandemic.
Yeah. Like I'm not writing in pandemic, inspired songs. I heard some like country song about like it's called like 6 Feet Apart, and I was like, this is the
Dude,
worst.
I've heard too many of these. I've heard so
Yeah.
many of them. Like, I will say, like, 21 Pilots did a pretty good job of it. Like, they put that song Level of Concern. Have you heard
Okay,
that one?
I haven't. No.
And I was actually like, wow, okay, this is like done right. Like, because they
Yeah.
don't even really mention it, and it's just very like, you know, it could be about a girl or it could be about. It was just like the way they did it was really brilliant. I mean, obviously they're brilliant artists from what they've achieved, but
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
then you hear something like what somebody put out another one that I heard called 6 Feet Apart.
Yeah, and they
Alvin
were like,
Benjamin or somebody like that. And I was just like, this is pretty cringy.
almost like I miss my friends. I was like, yeah, dude, we all miss our friends. Like
Right, exactly.
that's
Okay.
normal.
Right, exactly. If you're stuck inside forever, like, you're gonna miss people. We get it. So tell me about motivational speaking then. That wasn't obviously we just talked about how it wasn't really
Yeah.
quite inspired by the pandemic, but was it
Yeah.
something you started writing while you
Yeah.
were inside?
Yeah, I mean, I some of the songs like Salt and what other ones? I'm forgetting. Like High Times, a couple of others like I'd written sort of during the I think when I was working on Ode To A Friend, and they just didn't feel ready yet. And then a lot of the songs I was writing on the road when I was touring Ode To A Friend, and then we actually worked on motivational speaking for a while. Like right when I got back from that big headline tour, my buddy Owen Lewis, who co-produced the record with me, him and I dove in and started recording motivational speaking, uh, you know, pretty soon after that last tour. So we'd been working on it for a while, and then we would do like one or two songs, and then take a month off and produce for somebody else, or I would go do a little tour here and there. But yeah, so we basically like finished the record before the pandemic hit, and then everything obviously shut down, and then we found ourselves with all this extra time. So then we decided to go back and kind of like rework the record a little bit. Like the record was already mastered and everything. Like I remember going out, taking a run, and like listening to the record start to finish, and I was like, this is good, but I think I could beat it. I think I could just make it a little bit better, which I guess could also be like a not the most productive way to view it, because like nothing's ever done. But we did have all this extra time on our hands.
To sit and do you think that could have do you feel like the record wouldn't have sounded like it does now if it wasn't for having all that time to sit and like ponder with
Yeah,
it?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like we recorded day by day a couple times. Like we changed the key and stuff, changed the tempo. Um, yeah, I just remember like like Owen would go back and like just want to remix songs, but like in a different way, just a totally different way, not like turning up the snare drum or like really bringing out like different elements that were maybe a bit more hidden in previous mixes. So we just kind of tried to have fun with it. I think we were a bit exhausted with the record by the time we were done because it was like 2 years. I don't know if that's the best thing to say in a promo thing, but I'm sure a lot of artists could relate to.
Yeah.
Like, you work on the record and you're around these songs all the time and you know them inside out. And like I was producing it too with Owen, and so there was just it was like all I was thinking about. And you're just gonna get like song fatigue, and like your perception of the record's going to change. So I was like the whole time trying to remember like, okay, people are gonna hear this for the first time, and like hopefully they're not gonna be sick of it, like the same way I was for a little bit. But I say that I was really proud of the record too. But I think it was just because we worked on it for 2 years straight.
But was it something that you would have to, or did it get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to set the record. I'm not even going to think about it or try to listen to it for like a week and then come back and set some new ears on it? Or did you never spend time like that?
Yeah, I tried to do that. And then when we got it mastered, I listened to it one time and I was like, I was really proud of it. Then I put it away. Like I didn't listen to it. I still don't really listen to it now. I mean, I don't love listening to like, I don't love listening to like my own music because I'll just overthink it. It's the same way like I can't listen to myself speak. So like I'll probably never listen to this podcast. This episode. I'll listen to other episodes, but I'll just cringe at hearing myself speak.
Just like your own worst critic type thing.
Yeah. But that's just me. Maybe down the road I'll go back and listen to the record. But I mean, I guess I do have to listen to it to figure out how to arrange some of the songs for a live setting. Because we did a couple like in studio recordings, and that was a lot of fun, and that was a fun way to reimagine the songs for a live setup. But yeah, I mean, and I also think too the arrangements will like transform as time goes on, and who knows where they'll be at when we're able to tour.
Right, or when you have a band together to go.
Yeah, I mean they'll still sound like the songs, but it might just be a bit different.
When you said you did a studio sessions, were those like a live stream deal or?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did obviously, since we couldn't do a release show, we did like this free live stream event, and like I played a couple songs acoustic, played a couple songs with the band, did like a Q&A thing, and that was a lot of fun. I've never done something like that before, and luckily it went over smoothly. So but it was
nice.
Yeah, it was great. Like we got to go into a really nice studio and record the songs, film them, had an amazing band. So had Owen, who mixed the record, engineer it. So yeah.
Was that the first time you had played with people in a room like that in a while?
Oh my gosh, yeah, in like a year and a half. I remember when we like started playing the first song. I think the first song we recorded was How It Works, and I couldn't stop smiling. I mean, it's like, it sounds cheesy, but I was just so happy, and I was like, oh, this is that what I was missing for the last year and a half. And I didn't realize it until I started playing with the band, and I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so good.
That's
it was like
so
therapy,
cool. Yeah, right. I'm sure. I'm very emotional. And yet you haven't yet like played in front of people like face to face yet, or have you?
I did. No, I've done a couple like private Zoom shows, which have, you make them as good as you can, but there's obviously a lot of limitations over Zoom. And then I've done a couple private like backyard shows and stuff, but I haven't done like a proper show yet.
Like show.
I was supposed to do a show the other week in Greenville with St. Paul and the Broken Bones, but Paul got sick before the show, so we had to cancel it.
Do you have anything lined up as far as shows?
I'm playing like a festival and um, like outside of Sacramento at the end of August, but I'm just gonna play it acoustic.
Okay.
And but I don't have any full band shows quite yet. We're working on a couple things that are in the works that'll hopefully be able to be announced in the next couple weeks. So
That's exciting. That's
yeah,
exciting. I'm sure you're even that show that you're playing out in Sacramento. You're probably pretty pumped about that. I would
yeah,
imagine.
it'll be fun to like. I mean, I have no idea how it's gonna go because like I haven't been in front of a proper audience in so long. I
Work
probably
on your. Have been running your jokes by your buddy.
yeah. I'm gonna be texting him like the whole time, like, man, give me some material.
Some solid zingers. You've had a while to.
That's great.
Well, that's awesome. I'm stoked that you're actually, the stuff's opening up enough that people are playing again.
Yeah, and hopefully, things. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the Delta variant and all that is scary, and
Yeah.
everything still feels so uncertain. But you know, I think there's obviously a way to bring back live music in a safe way, and I think it just needs to come back. I mean, there's so many people that are reliant on it, and for like their job, and
Mhm.
that it's just they've been hit so hard this past year and a half. So
Especially the crew guys, right? I
yeah,
mean,
oh my gosh,
they
yeah,
don't have any sort of residual like, songwriting income or
yeah,
anything
it's
like that.
horrible.
They're just
Yeah,
like can't
yeah,
do anything.
yeah, crew guys and like the independent venues.
Oh yeah.
It's been awful. Um, so, but I think things are now looking up. I know I have my eye on a lot of shows that I want to see.
Same here. Same here. And Bonnaroo is gonna apparently happen in what, like a month. So we'll see about
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, yeah. I think isn't Lollapalooza happening this weekend or something? I feel like there's so many festivals now that are
Yeah,
back.
I think it is happening this weekend,
Yeah,
actually. Didn't it start already? It might have already started
might have.
yesterday or today. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I did vaguely remember hearing something about that. So that'll be, I guess, a very telling example of
yeah.
what will
I want to
happen.
go. There's kind of like a post emo music festival happening in Chicago. I can't remember. Maybe it's
Is it
in
Riot
September.
Fest?
Is it Riot Fest? Yeah, but that's like
Yeah.
that's been going on for a while, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to go to that.
I know, so do I. They used to do a couple of them. I thought they did Chicago and maybe one other city, but maybe not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but
The one
that's like a legit. I mean, yeah,
that-
that's like
Staring at the poster, like I feel so nostalgic right now. Just like,
right,
oh,
right.
like they're still playing and they're still playing. Yes.
I know it's funny to hear now, just being older and like growing up with those bands. I
Yeah.
remember Taking Back Sunday did like right before the pandemic. They did that tour where they played the first record in full, and then they flipped a coin. Did you hear about this? And then
No.
and it either landed on one side. They played the third record, Louder Now, or they played the second record, Where You Want to Be. But they always played the first album, and I was like, I remember like seeing Taking Back Sunday when they only had like the first album. So like going
Yeah.
back and hearing them play the full first album again, it was like so crazy.
Oh my.
Like it
Yeah.
had been so many years.
That. Yeah, they were a great live band too.
Yeah, they're fun,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
Well, dude, hopefully you'll play Nashville soon. We'll come check you out.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, maybe this fall, or like wintertime for sure. We're trying to get some things in place, so
Cool,
that
cool. I
happens.
can't wait. Well, Ben, dude, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I have one more question for you. I want to know
Sure.
if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Um, I would say like don't overthink everything. Just like focus on writing the best songs you can and like recording them in a way that you are that you're proud of. And I think um people naturally kind of gravitate towards it because especially in music, like when you're trying to like write a song or record a song in a certain way to fit into a genre, people can sort of smell the bullshit in it all. So um it sounds cheesy, but just be true to yourself, and yeah, don't overthink it. Just keep your head down and keep writing, keep recording, just go out, play shows. Stuff will naturally fall in place.
Bringing it backward.